Podcast.
Bargain Bin Gaming Podcast, hosted by three hosts so small you'd think they were cuterflies.
I like it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, not because we're cute, just because we're the smallest Pokemon.
Because we're flies.
Yes, because we're flies.
Yeah, pests.
I can't remember what I'm doing now. You bastard. But yes, welcome in. I am your host, Josh. Watch out, I'm just jumping into my cat's anus, hoping it turns into a car, and plug it into player 2.
I'm just on a quest for jam and toast with the Chainsaw Dog. I'm Darren. Hello. And coming exclusively to Crunchyroll this holiday season.
I'm fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight. It's Karis.
Hello, yes, and welcome into another episode, a very messy intro into another episode of Discount, where we were here for another fight episode. We are doing fighting, so if you listened to our last episode, it was a review of February, and this one is our standard fighting, angry, fighty, killy fight.
So mad.
Can we just talk about the face you just made at me?
I was trying to work out how to say February. It's the weirdest month to say.
It is, yeah.
February.
Oh my god.
But yes, we are here, we are back, we are ready to fight. But we want to look at this one, but we need to deal with the previous fight episode before this, which would be the one that is Party. Should we jump into the vault, everyone?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we said we have to jump into it. Open it up, open it up. I mean, they're having a rave down there in the vault. They are going for it. Those games are so happy to be in there.
They're about to start a party.
They're about to start a party because the newest party game is going to enter into it.
Yeah. And
so
this one knows how to set the tone.
It does. I mean, this is why I don't normally tell you which ones there are, because you know what there is this time. Naughty.
Yeah.
But yes, we have our new party game to go in there. There were 3 from the previous one, which was Heavy Rain, Lego Lord of the Rings, and then Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
All very good party games. No, were they good games though? Yeah, I think they were of a variety middle level, but there was one clear winner, which I think we even say in the last episode. I'd be shocked if this didn't end in the vault.
Yeah, and instead we threw all 3 out and inducted Garfield Lasagna Party. That's our new vault game.
And I'm John in this situation. I'm unhappy with everything you guys are doing. But no, we actually put a poll out and we got a vote back, and the winner, unsurprisingly, was Resident Evil 7.
Yay!
What else is going to be in there? A worthy winner, really, I think.
Yeah.
It's a great game, now available on PS Plus. But yeah, I think it won by quite a landslide. I think the next closest was Heavy Rain, and that was nowhere near it.
Yeah.
And no one voted for Lego Lord of the Rings, I'm afraid.
Which, in fairness, is a shame, because it is a really good game.
But no one's going to say that was their favourite compared to the others.
It's a good game in its own right, being you presented me those 3.
Yeah. I'm not going to dispute putting this in the vault. It's my favourite game ever. So, you know.
Right, I'm going to try and throw it in the vault somewhere safe. Oh, God.
Let's do it. What
Nailed
a
it.
fucking landing.
Nailed it. Didn't mean to throw it there, but it's safe. It's fine. I shouldn't have used my left hand. But yes, we're done with the vault. Hooray! The vault is over. Fuck that last episode. Let's close up the vault and get into the genre. Close the vault, guys. Kick some gravels. There we are. Yes, that was the old one. We're done with that. And then we pulled a new genre at the end of the last one with the random genre generator. Our wonderful assistant Darren put on his gold leotard and showed us what it was. The new topic. And yeah, we pulled out, what was it?
It was anime.
It was anime. I mean, I think our title was Anime Bullshit.
It was anime bullshit.
But we have shortened it down to just anime.
We should have shortened it down to just bullshit. It would have been a wider collection of games.
Oh my god, now that would be a hell of a category.
Do you think so? Do you think there are fewer bullshit fewer anime games than bullshit games? Because there are a million anime games.
Oh, I think there's a million bullshit games.
Yeah, it's a close fight. It's a close fight. But anyway, should we ask Darren what anime?
Yeah, what is anime, please?
It's like fucking Japanese cartoons or something.
The worst bit is Darren's our resident expert on anime,
Yes.
so I will take that as what it is. It's
Yeah.
Japanese cartoons or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, the briefing we had. So on this, we had to buy each a game, anime-based games, and I think there's a lot of discussion about what those games might be, could be, should be, because anime's massive. I mean, Darren, you are the resident expert who loves all things anime.
I do.
Would you say you've watched a lot of anime?
I've watched some. I've watched less than I should have, but still some.
Some people might argue you've watched more than you should have.
Yeah. In any.
I think Lauren might.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, there's lots out there. I mean, I can't even think when anime started being forever.
It goes back like forever, yeah.
Forever. I mean, what is your like frame of reference then with anime? Then I'll ask you, Karis, because you've got, I suppose, a smaller frame than probably Dan.
I do. I watched anime predominantly when I was a kid, more as an adult. So the two I can kind of say is from when I was a kid, I was a huge Sailor Moon fan. Love Sailor Moon to this day. And as I've gotten older, I think I really fell in love with Attack on Titan for a while. But that's my frame of reference is not massive. It's something I would like to get into more. I'm quite fancying the look of Demon Slayer.
It's fucking good.
Demon Slayer is good. I've only watched season 1, but it's
It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably similar as you. Like, anime is not a big thing. I mean, I watch a lot of anime films, I suppose. It's more like Studio Ghibli, I know fairly categorically, like inside and out. Younger, didn't really watch much in the way anime. I think Pokemon was about as far as anime went as a kid. And then, more recently, it is stuff which is, I suppose, Edge Runners, which, this is it, the anime I'm watching is a bit more Western, I suppose. Like, I do, like, Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that, bit more in the wheelhouse. But then it's stuff like Vinland, and it's like the Castlevania series and stuff like that. Stuff that's come to, I suppose, Netflix rather than standard anime platforms. And then, of course, I loved One Punch. I thought it was a great series as well.
I will say what I find actually, really speaking of Netflix, really funny about watching anime as a kid was I talk about being a big Sailor Moon fan, right? So my dad always kind of wrote off anime because I used to watch Pokemon all the time and watch Digimon, and then I would watch Sailor Moon. And I remember my dad saying to me when I got older, he was like, I was really quite disturbed by Sailor Moon because he was like, you were watching this Japanese program with English subtitles and then these women would just get naked. And I was like, is this appropriate for my 10-year-old child? But then as I've gotten older, I've kind of drifted off with anime, and my dad watches anime all the time. Like, he loves it.
It's like a Tuesday thing. He has a whiskey and watches anime.
Watches anime. He has a great time.
But
I think anime is great to watch because it's basically no setup. Anime on like an episodic basis will just come along, have a massive thing happen every single episode. So it's great to watch if you have no attention span because there's always some shit happening. Right?
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that's more of a modern thing.
I got to be honest, I think Dragon Ball's what. So I like the original, for some reason. I like the original Dragon Ball when I watched it, like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Then Dragon Ball Z.
A lot of people like Z.
I didn't like Dragon Ball Z because nothing would happen. You'd have episodes where they were just screaming at each other.
A battle takes like 10 episodes.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not bought into this. So I think that's what took me away from anime. I'm glad I'm coming back.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z was a weird one actually because that came on after Sailor Moon most afternoons, and it would literally be like Sailor Moon's quite like pretty and quite like and then Dragon Ball Z, I remember watching one episode, and that's such a core memory now that I think about it, was just these two men screaming at each other and me being like, I don't know if I can do this.
They just switch out the men.
Yeah.
They're basically the same animation frames, but they just switch out the men and call it a day.
Anime for you?
I have like 2 frames of reference, which is older anime and newer anime, which is recently I watched like half of it. I need to go back and watch the rest of Evangelion. Which is just about giant robots fighting angels. It's fucking dope. But it has a lot of that, like, not much is happening, but a lot is happening. So it's very slice of life for a show about giant robots fighting angels. And then the other one recently, like I watched a lot of Hunter x Hunter, which is really good. And a lot of Demon Slayer. And that's sort of where my current frame of reference is. I watched it. I've been reading Chainsaw Man. I need to read more of it. But that's a lot, again, of that slice of life, but in a different sort of way. Like, I like that because it has... a
chainsaw for a face, obviously.
Well, only some of the time. I feel in no other form of media can you have a single story which half of it is 320-somethings trying to find their place in the world, and the other half is man with chainsaw for face fights giant bat. And it seamlessly goes from one to the other.
Yeah.
Like, cool. I'm into it.
Obviously, bat fight with chainsaw face.
It's the bat demon.
And he's got a chainsaw dog.
Yeah.
Which is sort of.
Tell you the other one I used to watch when I was a kid, and this is really interesting, right? Because
Chainsaw
nobody else has ever like heard of it. Did you guys ever watch Card Captors?
No.
I know the name.
Oh my god, I was obsessed with Card Captors as a kid, and every time I mention it to other people, they're like, "What the fuck is that?" But it's so good.
I still stand by what is that?
It's this girl. She collects these cards that are attached to different spirits that like help her save the world. Essentially, it's really really cool.
I always watched a shitload of Digimon.
Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh.
And Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
I was never a
Yu-Gi-Oh's my
Yu-Gi-Oh
fucking jam.
person.
So yeah, this
Never a Yu-Gi-Oh person.
I love it.
loved Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, I liked all the cards growing up, but I remember trade. So Yu-Gi-Oh started getting big after I already had a set, and I managed to trade. But Pokemon was still big, so I managed to trade like a Blue Eyes White Dragon for a bunch of shiny Pokemon cards in a real shitty sort of fucking trade. Like the kids didn't have it. I was like, here you are, work it out. Like you can buy a Blue Eyes White Dragon. The others are all like random. I was like, cool, I'll work this out. And that, then it got banned.
Also, on that note, the competitive scene for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fucking insane.
Yes, it is.
Weird.
It really is.
It.
But yes, that's sort of anime. And then anime games are from there. And there have been loads of anime games, again, since, I suppose, games have been changed from the 80s, from like Tetris to moving into actual games. Anime's been brought back in. So there's a lot to choose from. Are there any games you thought... Do we want to reveal our games then first? I can't work out if that's what we want to do first. Or we want to talk about games we thought about buying that haven't been bought. What order do you want to do?
If we reveal first.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you might be able to... I was going to say, you might be able to work out what we bought from what we say, but fucking too many games.
And then we'll talk about the game we bought. So we'll do it in the order that we received them.
Spoilers, I didn't send mine last this time.
No, it was me.
It was you.
It was me.
So the first person to receive it, though, unsurprisingly, was that game that I bought.
Yeah.
So I bought and sent it to Keris.
Yes, my game is...
This is a really good reveal. Really good reveal.
Digimon... Shut the fuck up. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth.
Good words.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it?
Right. This is complicated. So I'm going to refer to Wikipedia very quickly because I don't know if I can explain this well. The story is actually pretty complicated. Essentially, if you don't know what Digimon are, think they're kind of like Pokemon, but they're not. They are little creatures that are digital. They are digital monsters.
And they are the champions.
They are the champions.
Change into digital champions.
I don't know, I
The digital world.
forgot the word. But yeah, basically, I found out actually from you today that it started off as a Tamagotchi idea. So that's where it's come from. You assume the role of a girl called Amy Iber. The entire game is in Japanese, by the way, with English subtitles, which I loved. She's a young Japanese student. She lives in Tokyo. Her mum is a news reporter who is abroad. And she spends a lot of time...
She's not there, or she's abroad. She's abroad!
I fucking thought as well.
Fake voice.
Yes, and I'm 20, see?
Jesus Christ. So, anyway, she's working in a different country.
Okay.
That's abroad.
And so she spends a lot of time kind of on, like, forums and web chats and stuff, and she makes these two online friends called Nokia Shiramine and Arata Sanada. And basically there's a big cyberspace network, almost like a metaverse kind of cyber world where you make your own avatars and you go in, and this is released, and on release day she meets up kind of in person, in inverted commas, with these two people. So she receives then a message from a hacker that basically says that they're going to shut down, the cyberspace place is called Eden, by the way, that they he's going to basically lock them in Eden, and he does this. He gives them a Digimon capture program and locks them in Eden. And while kind of searching for an exit, she meets different people who teach her how to capture Digimon. Now, the idea of this is that there's like bad hackers and good hackers, and the bad hackers are trying to keep them locked in Eden.
Are there hackers? Just little
Am I going to be able to get through this really complicated story without you making a dad joke every 2 seconds?
I apologise.
I also want to say, this currently also sounds a lot more positive than most stories about girl without parental guidance goes
Yes.
in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought she was going to have an extremist or something.
No.
Okay.
But basically, she meets up with them, they unlock a way out, and the whole point is that they use the Digimon, they're taught to use the Digimon to fight the bad hackers. Cool. When she comes out of it, she kind of emerges in the real world as like a half digitized, half avatar, half human entity, and is rescued by a detective who specializes in cyber crimes. She manifests an ability to kind of slip through digital worlds and essentially is trying to take down this organized cyber criminal gang through Digimon. It's complex. I couldn't have done that without the help of Wikipedia, if I'm honest, just because it is a complex story. And yeah, that's basically it. You're using Digimon to
save the
fight
digital
cybercrime. Yeah.
Sounds cool. Sounds like a great game that someone would buy. I was the second person to receive my game. I got it from Darren. Darren didn't finish last this time, which is good. And I received Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I'm going to move past that. But yes, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the the remastered.
Good moving past that, right? Good moving past that.
Can I finish?
Okay, guys. Just a little announcement. Me and Josh are getting divorced.
Perfect. Wrath of the White Witch, remastered on PS4. So not the original PS3 one, the one that was released shortly afterwards. I think it's 2018. It was re-released. No, 2019.
2019. Cool.
2019, I believe.
You're playing a really dangerous game, considering that
It's pretty safe.
It's pretty safe. It's about little kids.
There's no internet guidance.
You are winning this episode.
There's no internet
I'm just letting you know now.
Although there is still no parental guidance. For other reasons.
Yeah. So, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I can't say it. Ni no Kuni 1, which is actually Ni no Kuni 3.
Ni no Kuni, white woman.
It follows the journey of Oliver, who's a resident of Motorville. He's out one day playing with his friend on a new car that he's made called Philip, and then not the car's called Philip, Frank's called Philip. It crashes, he nearly drowns, his mum saves him, and then his mum dies of heart failures after saving him, because guess what? Saving someone's tough. Whilst he's crying about it and upset, understandably so, a little Welsh fairy shows up. By the way, by that I mean a fairy who is Welsh, not a Welsh... Not Daffy, doesn't come along. We only gained the village. A little fairy who is Welsh shows up, called Drippy. Talks and goes, "Oh, calm down, butt," and all this fun stuff. He really goes for it. I didn't really try hard.
I was going to say, what was that?
That was my voice.
Karis, what would he sound like?
Go on.
What do you want me to say?
Or just anything that's Welsh. His first words are like tidy, I think.
Tidy!
That's pretty much it. And he...
It's that for however long the game is.
He explains to Oliver that it's sad that his mum's passed, but, you know, he comes from a different world, but we have soulmates, and guess what? Your mum looks a lot like this great sage, so maybe if you find her, we can bring your mum back. But don't worry, the great sage has also been stolen by a man called Shadar. We have to deal with him first, so come with me, unsupervised, into this imaginary world. And they disappear off into Fairyland. And then you have to work through and fight through Fairyland, helping broken hearts along the way, finding familiars to fight for you, and it's just standard JRPG nonsense, but with Ghibli inspired.
In the same, like, gruff Welsh voice, can you say Shadar?
I know, I'm really struggling.
In the same sort of gruff Welsh voice, can you say Shadar?
Shadar!
That's my favourite part of the game.
Yeah.
My favourite
Every time
part,
he says it.
I got to be honest with you, I don't know the exact line. But Studio Ghibli, sorry, that really got me. I walked in and Josh was like, "Hey, come and see this Welsh character."
Oh, it was literally the beginning.
And he's trying to get him out of bed or something, and he says something like, "Oh, Yes, so good.
Also, on relation to Studio Ghibli, this was co-made by.
It was. The whole game, though, was created prior by they'd written it all out by the sort of studio, and then Studio Ghibli came in and sort of helped
Did a lot of
with
big sort of animation
with it.
It's
So
got that vibe.
yeah. So Ghibli came in and made a bunch of stuff in there, just to make it clear that they didn't write it, not for any particular reason. Not like I'm trying.
It'd be that's going to be shit talking Ghibli, but I can't do that.
Yeah, don't worry. No. I was busy trying to stop for accuracy, but it's all right. But that is what I got bought by Darren, which is a great little game. And what did you get, Darren, from Keris eventually?
I got a game.
Cool.
Moving on. I got a lovely game, which is, remember the whole title by looking at it, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, which is based on Fist of the North Star, not Lost Paradise.
Not Lost Paradise.
Which is an old school anime from like the 80s or something, I think.
Yeah, the film's from 88 or 87, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you follow the adventures of a man named Kenshiro, who is the sole successor and sort of disciple of a martial arts style called Hokuto Shinken.
Isn't that what Timon and Pumbaa sing about?
Yes.
Yes.
Have that one loaded.
Well, how would I have that one loaded? I have no idea what this is.
But basically, Hokuto Shinken is like do you know the like psychic martial arts bullshit where they're like, I can touch you in 3 places?
Oh, yeah.
It's that.
Okay.
He like touches certain pressure points and your head explodes.
You're Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
I was thinking more
Yes.
Uma Thurman, Kill Bill 2.
Well, which is better than anything Steven Seagal has done.
But I looked up some of this plot after I played a bit of it, and apparently the plot of the original anime is that his fiancée Yuria is basically stolen by a man named Shin. I wish it was Shin. A man named Shin, who then basically puts 7 holes in his chest, and he then has those as scars going on. And literally the first thing you do in this game is you kill Shin.
Oh, nice.
You go up and beat the shit out of him, and he's like, Yuri's dead, bruv, sorry. And you're then wandering along in the wasteland. It's like the post-apocalypse, everything's just sand.
Nice, which is quite a standard thing, I think, for anime. It's just a sand world.
And then you come across a small village which is being terrorized by bandits. You fight off the bandits, and a man says, I know of a woman named Yuria. She's got like a band of followers. She's gone to a place, funnily enough, also called Eden. So you go up to Eden, you eventually get into Eden, and basically you end up sort of working for Eden and helping them with fighting off a group called the Army of Ruin, who are basically bandits. It's a bit Mad Maxy, the Army of Ruin.
Okay.
They ride big trucks around everywhere and come and raid places. And you sort of help out like the ruler of Eden, Kasana, and the captain of the guard, Jagre, and you basically just help them out. And you're trying to both find Yuria and help deal with all these things. And it ties in other parts of the anime. So you have basically people he's like interacted with before, or major characters in the anime will crop up every now and then and go, oh, hey, I'm here, and then fuck off 20 minutes later. But yeah, it's a Yakuza game.
Which is
It's just a Yakuza game. It follows exactly the same thing. Like, you wander around Eden, there's various shit to do, sub-stories pop up, random groups of bandits pop up, and you just sort of work through it that way. There's little mini-games, there's, as I said, little sub-stories, there's all sorts of things going on. The only thing it adds is driving sections, which control like absolute dog shit.
I'm not surprised.
Really bad.
Is it like an old sort of style where you're like just moving from lane to lane, or do you actually have to do full...
You have to do turns. If you like tap the stick a millimetre to the left, you fucking go full on drift. So I was trying to hit a collectible in the wasteland, but I was just doing donuts around it, because I couldn't get tight enough in. It just keeps putting you out around. Fucking come on. But yeah, it follows that same sort of style, but with a lot of the Fist of the North Star characters' style combat layered on top.
Cool. So yeah, 3 anime games purchased.
Yeah.
But a lot of anime games, I imagine, were looked at before the purchasing was bought. Purchasing was done. Anything in particular that jumped out that you wanted to get for anyone? Anyone want to jump in?
I don't mind jumping in. I looked at 2 games. I looked at a few, actually, to be fair. I looked at so many I can't actually remember what I was going to do, which is why yours took so long. But there were 2 that stood out to me. I didn't realise that this was a recent release, but I know you love Demon Slayer. I was going to get you the Demon Slayer game, and because it looked really cool, but I can't justify £45 for a bargain game podcast. And the other one, Josh, you'll have to help me out with this one because I can't remember a lot about it, but it was nuts. Was a game called Catherine.
It was Catherine.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't even remember the concept for it. I just remember watching the trailer and being like, this is insane, and I know Darren would love it, but I think it was also very expensive.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive. It was hard to find as well.
Yeah.
A physical copy of them. It's mainly a digital game only.
The concept of Catherine is man is in a relationship with a woman named Catherine. He meets other woman called Catherine.
Yeah.
He's a sheep in his dreams.
Yeah.
Yes!
And you
The
climb,
entire game.
and you climb boobs. Climb boobs.
You climb boobs, yeah.
That's it.
That's
Your endings are dependent on which Catherine you want to be with.
Yes. Yeah.
But it looked interesting. It did look interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely looked at Persona 5 for you, Karis. I thought it'd be great to throw you into that one, but I thought there's no way in hell you're going to get any distance into that game to get to Cat Bus. Looked at that one. There was quite a lot that was going on, but I think Digimon is where I zoomed in. I tried to find like Sailor Moon games, but they've only got like some old ones on like DS, or, and they're really expensive. I think it was a PS2 game, but
was it Sailor Moon Crystal you were looking at?
it might have been.
Yeah.
It's expensive and hard to get hold of. So
I zeroed in on my one pretty quickly. The only other thing I considered momentarily was Code Vein, Anime Dark Souls, but not much else really.
I think One Piece was on my horizon to just look at potentially as a game that might be a good one to get for people. And I also thought about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, somewhere like one of the JoJo's games.
I sort of passively looked at like Dragon Ball games or Naruto.
I tried to
most of them are
avoid them,
fighters.
Yeah.
And we established earlier that none of us are into fighting games, so it just felt like taking the L.
Yeah.
You could get like most accurate, and you just have to tank the rest of it.
Yeah.
If I was buying for you, Darren, I would probably look for like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Because I feel like getting any Yu-Gi-Oh! Game for you
I'd be into it,
would have been a potential winner. But that was what we were thinking. But yeah, lots of anime games, lots of thoughts, lots of ideas what they could be. But this is what we've zeroed in on. These 3 games. So, should we move into the main body of everything and fight over whose is the best game that was purchased?
Yeah.
Fight.
Round 1, fight!
Yeah, I was trying to see if Darren would get the fight in time this time.
Bit late,
but it's alright. It's all good. It's within. It was close.
I never tried round 1.
No.
Because I have no idea about
Round
it.
1 comes in randomly.
But you can work out like the gap between round 1 and 5.
So yeah, if you haven't been here before, what we do is we now then discuss over which game should win. So we now go over 4 points. It could be 1, which are most accurate, value for money, entertaining, and play of the game. The first 3 go to the people who bought the game. The last one goes to the person who played the game.
Yeah.
And so we will argue all of those points to see who will win. Fight! So up first is most accurate. So which is the most anime game here? Oof. And it's a tough one to fight over, I think.
I'm going to do 2 fights.
You're going to fight for Nino.
I'm going to fight for the game I bought, and I'm going to fight for the game I played.
Right, okay.
My main angle for Fight for Nino Kuni is that it's co-developed by Studio Ghibli, which means technically it's an anime.
Okay.
It's made by Studio Ghibli, so it's an anime.
Right, yeah.
It is the anime. The reason I fight for Fist of the North Star is because it's so fucking wrapped up in Fist of the North Star.
Yes.
The entire combat system is based around touching people's pressure points, making them explode. The entire sort of thing, various like sidekicks and characters crop up in the past. Like the beginning of this game is you fight the main antagonist and then go looking for the woman who the entire plot is based around. And it's a lot of that. It's very wrapped into its own story. There's a section early on where you're in prison and he has like flashbacks and it's literally just the story of fucking Fist of the North Star. Like bit by bit, it just goes, here's the entire story.
That's cool.
And it's very much tied into that. It's got a lot of references back to it. It's a lot of, I assume I'd know that had more tying into it if I'd watched Fist of the North Star.
Fifth, I mean, you can't say anything so, yeah.
White woman. It's...
How does it look? Does it look like a Yakuza game though when you play it?
It looks...
Just out of interest, I'm just trying to work out where it goes.
I'd say it looks more anime.
So they've done something with it to make it look
got a
less...
very sort of harsh, cel-shaded style.
Cool.
It looks like if you made... Because it's... of course, Fist of the North Star is back when it's like all 2D animation. And it just looks like if you made that in like 3D cel shading.
That's cool.
So it's got that sort of thick line. It's got that look of
And it feels
anime.
so. It feels like a love letter almost to it, and you can feel it in there. That's cool. What about Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth? Because I've seen it, and it looks like Digimon when I came.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that sells it for me actually with this is the art style. And I would fight for this one only because this is a weird thing to say because I know you guys will probably say the same things about yours. But it didn't feel like I was playing a game. It felt like I was playing an episode of an anime. So the art style all the way through is really consistent between cutscenes and not cutscenes. It's all done by Yasuhito Yasada. Apologies for the abomination of the pronunciation that was. Who is a Japanese manga artist and illustrator. He's the creator of Yozakuru Quartet. He's does a light novel series called Durarara? Yeah, it's got loads of R's in it.
I do. Yeah, okay.
And is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
It's a real good question.
His art style is amazing, and it does feel like maybe not an episode of anime, but it feels like you are in like a manga comic is the way that it's done. It feels, as well as kind of like the fact that it is all in Japanese with English subtitles, it feels intrinsically anime to its very, very core of the game. That's what I would say about it personally, and it's very Digimon. It doesn't like it is. It is super Digimon, like, you know.
I mean, Darren's already touched on it. I mean, the big thing that makes this feel anime, No Kuni, is the cutscenes. The cutscenes feel like a Ghibli film. Like that is what it feels like outside of the Ghibli film. When when outside the cutscenes, it doesn't feel anime at all. Yeah. It just feels like a JRPG, which is the only sort of juxtaposition there. And also because it's got nothing connecting it to a pre-existing anime. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not an anime. I'm just saying this is where it falls down, how accurate it is. Yeah. I'm just saying that it doesn't have that, oh, there's a nod to this, oh, there's a nod to that sort of thing. Whilst you're getting that in the other two. Yeah. It's because they're adapted off an anime. And that's the different way to look at it. So Digimon and Fist of the North Star are very much adapted off of a long-standing anime, whilst this is going off of the general feel of a Studio Ghibli film, instead of it being based off, I don't know, Princess Mononoke or something along those lines. You're not doing that story, you're doing your own thing. Which is the only thing that I think takes it away from being an anime, even though, as you said, it's created by them, so therefore it is an anime in its own right. Which makes it quite hard, but I think they're all very good for anime games. I mean, it's hard to argue that any of them aren't anime games. I think they're all anime games. It's just which is the most anime is the real question.
So, I came into this willing to fight for Fist of the North Star. Yeah. I think I'm actually going to vote for Digimon.
That's where I'm falling as well.
Because Kara said something very important at the end there, which I feel sets it apart, where you said, and to be fair, you started this by saying it feels like you're playing, it probably sounded for the same for us, it feels like you're playing an episode of the anime instead of playing a game. Yeah. I don't feel that with this.
Okay.
I feel like I'm playing a game. I feel that's...
this. I'm playing a Yakuza game wearing the skin of an anime.
Okay.
Like it skinned it and put it on as like a coat.
That's what I do.
This is the game.
And that's the same with this. It's a big open world JRPG, maybe like a Final Fantasy 13 sort of thing, but with the skin of Ghibli on it. Yeah, and that's so it was that. I think is very much aware of where it is. And
it's extremely self-aware. Extremely self-aware as a game, for sure.
I've played Digimon games before, and they're very much their own breed in that they are... You go to the digital world and you meet the Digimon and you do that. Yeah. And it's like you take the character and plop them in, but this feels like it's taken the characters and put them into a different game. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because I'm familiar with the Yakuza games and haven't seen Fist of the North Star, but it feels like I'm playing a Yakuza game with a different coat of paint on.
It's probably that because you've got more of a love for the Yakuza, you're going to feel that way.
Yeah.
So should we say the first point of the episode goes to Digimon?
Yeah.
Indeed. Woohoo!
Point for Josh. Hooray! A point for me. Up next, we're going to do though is value for money now. So we'll go over how much people spent on each game. Should we do an order we purchased them, or how do you want to do it? So I purchased Digimon first. It was £10. However, I had to get shipping on it, which I forgot, which is $1.95. So I spent $11.95 on Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, which I think is a nice price. Just about £12 is a bargain in my opinion. Yeah. How much did you were next?
Yeah, I was
Darren?
next. I know, it's so shocking. Funny you say that. I spent £12.
£12?
£12 flat.
£12 flat.
You'll have to remind me about this because you told me earlier on because I forgot. It was £9.
It was £8 and then £1.95 shipping, so it was £9.95.
£9.95. Okay.
That's a good price. That's like a £9.95.
Yeah, so it was under £10. So they're all much of a much on prices. It's a difference of about £2 from bottom to top. Well, £2.05 if we're being technical. So very much similar where they sort of sit.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at how long it takes to beat them then?
Let's do it.
First up, first price was, we'll do cheapest first, shall we? First the North Star for $9.95. How long do you reckon it takes to beat? I know you've had a look at it now, Dan.
Fucking Yakuza game, so it's like ages. But
Yeah, you expect it's not as long as it. So it's a total to complete it. Completionist is a 62-hour run.
Yeah.
The main stories are only a 19.5-hour run, which is quite short. This is both quite short for a Yakuza game, but I think it's obviously because they're working off other things plus main size. So 62 hours roughly, which for a tenner
It's alright.
is good value. I think again.
Yeah.
Next most expensive was Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
I know this
Like
one.
5p.
Yeah, by you know this one, do you?
Yeah.
How long does it take then?
So the main story takes about 50 hours and completionist is to complete absolutely everything in the game. It takes 116 hours.
Yeah, it is a
like that.
big
It's a
old game.
Big game.
And up next is No Kuni,
Yeah.
which is 44 hours to complete the main story and 92 hours to complete it. So again, a big game. The biggest game is obviously Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
Yeah.
Even for main story, it's the biggest.
Yeah.
The question, though, I think that I'm discussing is who would you go back in to complete that game? What is the things in there? Or where do we draw the line? Or does it just go to Digimon because it is the most for the cost?
If it helps, I'm willing to say that I would absolutely be interested in playing the full story of it. I think it would be great. I'd love to see I think this is going to go in all sorts of mad directions, so I'm willing to pick that out. I don't know if I'd go completionist on it.
The thing I'm curious about, and I think this
Is what the completionist is.
Yeah, anytime I see a number over 100 hours, it's what the fuck am I doing?
I'm assuming it's catching all of them in a very similar way to completionist on a Pokemon game would be, filling the Pokedex.
Why does that take 150 hours?
Yeah.
Why is it not telling you?
Yes.
I mean, I suppose let's look at it in a different way. So mains and extras, like main sides bits. So like all the, you doing enough of the extra side bits, how long does it take there, is 67.5 hours for Digimon.
Cool.
Ni no Kuni on that is 56.5 hours. Cool. So it's still saying that if you're doing that but doing enough side quests and doing that, it's still got more content
Big old game.
in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth than it does in Ni no Kuni. However, I know with Ni no Kuni, I'm willing to put in quite a lot of time with it. I know you.
I platinumed it in 90 hours. I would do it again.
It's a really nice game.
It's a blend of. It has a little bit of that kind of stuff. I will say there's you need to get every item. Or you need to do all the alchemy recipes, and there are items that are like a 3% drop from an end game enemy.
Right.
So you just have to. That's part of that.
Yeah.
But that's just JRPG shit.
It is.
It's such a cool world and such a cool game that I think that's fine.
The question here is, we do this every episode where we go, are we taking entertainment into this category for whether it is when we're meant to be just looking at
We
value?
change our mind every episode on what we're going to do.
And we do, and that's the question. We've got entertainment coming up. It's which is the most entertaining? And I think looking at mains and sides. So if you were to complete the game, because I don't want to complete this game isn't really part of this. That's entertainment. But if you're doing mains and sides, so just going for a run of the game, you're going to spend the most amount of time on Digimon.
Yeah.
So
I think Digimon is going to win.
I think so as well. Yeah. Not that you skewed this episode at all.
He does this. We talk about how we change our minds and whether it should include anything.
Yeah, it depends on whether his game is going to win or not.
Correct.
That's it.
Well,
I will point out
Look at his fucking shit-eating brain right now.
in this series, I've been fucked by a value for money decision that went the opposite direction in the previous series to also fuck me.
well, then fight harder, guys.
Oh my god.
I can't really. I can't fight for this game.
Gaslight, gatekeep,
The funniest part of this game is it didn't come up.
It didn't come up.
We immediately went, fuck it. Stop this.
I mean, it could be that one, but I think for 19.5 hours for a main story on it, it falls flat a little bit for the price difference.
The only way...
And it's 31 hours for mains and sides, is what it says. So it's half the size, but not half the cost.
The thing is, I can't fight against Digimon effectively because I don't know what that 150 hours is.
I think that's part of the mystery, isn't it?
All I know is I'd be willing to do
that
90 that.
That's because it's a really entertaining game.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into in the next section.
But that means I've secured a point for this episode. Hooray!
Oh my god.
Well done.
So up next is most entertaining.
Indeed.
We flew through those first two categories.
We did.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be more of a fight on this one,
Yeah.
potentially. I don't know what it is. I'll go first with Ni no Kuni. It is a delightful game. It really is. I genuinely have loved every bit I've played in it. There are certain characters I don't like, but I think that's the same with all Ghibli products. You've got your main character that you find heartwarming and heartfelt. You want to look after them and do that.
Yeah.
And other people who are just cunts, really. Like the little girl in the window at the beginning, like, fuck you. I don't really like Esther either, to be honest.
That's her name. I was trying to remember what her name was.
Esther.
She's a bit nothing.
She's a bit nothing.
Meet the next guy?
The
captain.
Yeah, the captain.
He's a lot of fun.
He's more fun.
I like
but he's good. Drippy is the main enjoyment.
He is a delight.
Having Welsh representative in there, like representation, is great and is wonderful.
Especially because a lot of the like some Ghibli films are heavily based on Welsh culture.
Well, Howl's Moving Castle is based off a Welsh folktale, isn't it?
Do you know Laputa, Castle in the Sky?
Yep.
The story of that is based on the Welsh miners against Thatcher.
Yeah. So they've got loads of it, which is great, and it's lovely.
I would interject here and say, as kind of and I don't take this the wrong way, as I know that you're half Welsh and you are not. As the representative Welshie in the group, I cannot tell you how happy it made me to have a Welsh character in this game that wasn't a caricature. You find a lot of the time when you
haven't been to their village yet, have you?
What do you mean?
There's a little village full of Welshies.
No, but
But it's not like comedic.
Do you know what I mean?
They're just Welsh.
A lot of the time, and I say this in the nicest way possible, a lot of the time Welsh characters are written by American or English writers, and there's a convoluted, complicated history there anyway, and a lot of the time we become the kind of butt of the joke a lot of the time because we have...
Get out. That's such a serious conversation.
I know. I'm sorry. Keep going. I do apologise.
I actually don't think you understand how blinding the rage was that I just...
Oh, no.
I thought it'd be funny just to add in, like, what it would be. That's what it was.
I'm fighting so hard not to climb over this table and fucking...
It's like a real-time example. Anyway, the characters.
So, a lot of the time, we are the joke of everything. I'm not going to say better the joke again because it's making me want to do horrible things. And a lot of the time it's like, oh, you know, there's loads of sheep in the country, they've got a funny accent. Mostly it comes from the fact that we're written as characters who are thick as fuck because we have a different accent, and that we're poor and that we're not educated. And I personally find it really offensive. So when you showed me that there was a character in this who is genuinely smart and funny and intelligent and a really good representation actually in the writing.
And he's played by Dave Coaches.
He's played by Dave Coaches, which is wonderful as well because they've obviously let him throw in a lot of like really natural Welshisms. Like he says like, oh, come on, man, like, what are you doing, man? All right, but tidy and stuff. And it reminds me so much of being a kid and growing up with grandparents who are from like the Welsh Valleys and from, because my whole family is from the Rhondda Valley, and that's how they talk. It's very much like that. And I did get a little bit emotional when Josh showed me because I was like, this is so different from the representation you're used to seeing of Welsh people.
I love it because, like, I will say, not in an offensive way, it's a fun accent. It's a fun accent.
And it's
just that the fairies are Welsh. They just have the
Yeah.
Welsh accent.
They
and
just
that's all it is.
you go to the village later, and they're all
lovely.
Welsh, and they've almost tried to mirror the village somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they just say the things wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not because they're stupid. It's just they've heard it in passing once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it was the Raven. Like, I'm a Raven, but and you're like,
No, but I like that. That's cool. That's nice.
It's a lot of fun.
I think at the end of the day, I wish it was done more because, as you said, it's a fun accent. It's a great accent. I just wish that it was used to show that we're warm and friendly and not thick.
Just continue with entertainment though, because that was great. The combat I find not as good as it could be. They refine it in 2. 2 is a much better where they've just done straight, open world, like random straight time. This is almost turn-based, but not quite. So you've only got one, you get the familiars that can fight on your behalf, you fight on them, you fight instead of them, and you fight like multiple creatures, but they're almost all on their own timer.
Yeah.
So like you could be attacking every 4 seconds, but they could be attacking every 6 seconds, and it's working out. So it's not hard, but it's just maybe something different. The spell, what's it called? The Wizard Companion, is amazing. It's got a book in there which you find all your information in it, and it is just a beautiful text, like 3D rendered. You're flipping the pages. You can spend every time you find something. I actually want to go look at the compendium, and it's also got its own language in there, which is what
Nazren.
Nazken.
Something.
Nazken.
Naz something.
Nazken, it definitely is at the end, but I know it's Ken at the end. It's Naz. So Nazken. But you can translate things you find in the world because it's got an actual translation.
Oh, that's cool.
So they build a lot of stuff in there. It's a game that really loves itself and loves what it's done. It's got a few bits that I'm like, but mostly nothing wrong with that.
I'll say that the combat develops a bit as you move on. It starts getting a bit more like Pokemon-y.
Yeah, it
where
does
you
feel
can
that way.
cycle 3 of your like familiars,
Strong, like,
and you end up having ones with like different elemental attacks. You have ones that are like defensive focused when you're fighting bosses.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting low on health, you can put out your defensive one to just shield you while you rethink and replan. And you have your one that's like attacking you, but it does a lot of healing and
I do, yeah. I have come across elements of that, and I think that's really good. So yeah, I think it's a fun combat system. It's just not what I was expecting from a JRPG. It's the way it's more what I'm looking for.
It's a weird.
You have to develop and work out what you're doing with it. It's not.
I will say, like, I agree. As someone who loves the game, the combat takes a while for you to go. Okay, I see what you're doing now, and you have to get some of like the more towards sort of the mid game. Or a bit before that, before enough abilities start coming in to make you go, I see what they're doing.
It's almost the opposite of Ni no Kuni 2. Whilst Ni no Kuni 2, to combat, you're like, got this. The rest of it, you're a bit like, I'm not as sold on this. Whilst that is. Sorry, I've talked about Ni no Kuni a lot. And you talk about Welsh, which is fair. So that's it. But it's a really good, entertaining game, and I think there's a lot of love in this game. Anyone else want to go?
I'll do mine. It's fun. It's slow. I'll say that. It takes a fair while to get going.
That's a typical Yakuza problem, though, isn't it?
The problem I have with it is it just is missing a spark. It's missing like the... I was saying this before. The part of the fun of Yakuza games is that it is a very serious man doing very silly things. This is that, but it's missing a lot of the silly things.
Right.
So you're just a serious man walking around doing serious things. And there's some entertainment in there, but it's in sort of that anime style of entertainment where you have very stoic front man, and like every time you talk to Jagre is my favourite thing, because Jagre is very sort of, he wants to appear tougher than he is.
Right.
And he's very like, I'm the captain of the guard, you're going to respect me, and then you make people's heads explode. So he clearly has no authority over you. But there's a great like passage where someone gets her purse stolen, and Jagre runs off to get the bandits, and he goes, wait here, don't cause any trouble. And you just follow him, and you go to sort of defeat the bandits. And he's like, the fuck, I told you to stay there. And then like more bandits come along, and he goes, right, this time, stay there. I'm going up to the wall, you fucking stay here. And you follow him, and you get to the top of the wall, and he's like, Kenshiro, the fuck? It's got some of that. It's got some of like that anime charm.
Yeah.
The game itself, other than a moment I'll talk about in a minute, but where I got up to, I played like 5 or 6 hours of it. It feels a bit sort of too serious almost.
Yeah.
It's missing the fun of the game.
But it's probably something for Yakuza fans to
Yeah,
enjoy.
like,
And
it's
probably if you're a fan of the anime, will enjoy
It's
it.
mechanically very solid. The combat is good fun. It has a lot of depth to it. It has like several levels of depth, but that spans out really wide. So you can unlock like 20 special like finishes, but they're all activated the same way. It just depends on what stance they're in and what type of enemy it is. And they all have really cool cutscenes attached, but it doesn't go any deeper than that. You press square for light attack, triangle for finisher, and circle for finisher.
But I sort of find that's a Yakuza game in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I'm now playing Yakuza 0, which I think was a big problem with me getting this other JRPG because I got stuck in that cycle. I think a Yakuza game almost starts feeling a bit like a job at points.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It's not hey, this is super fun all the time. It's like, oh no, you want to complete it because you feel you need to. And it compels you, but it doesn't.
This is the only problem in this is Yakuza has like karaoke, it has pocket races, it has a side story where you can food cricket for a day. This hasn't got any of that.
So far.
So far. But it's all very within its own universe, its own story. And it feels like it's trying so hard to be respectful to
the character,
the North Star character and the lore, that it misses out on the silly aspects that would make it more enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been fun, but like, feels like it could have been more.
Yeah.
Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth.
Okay, so there's things that I loved about this, and there's things that I'm not going to say I hated because I didn't. But there were things that I was like, oh, okay, this could be more enjoyable if these were done better. Do you know what I mean? So first of all, the world that it's in, the story is very, very convoluted and complex. Okay, it's difficult to follow, and I will go into that a little bit later on. But the world that it's built in is awesome. It's really cool. When you are going through Eden, I said the art style is chef's kiss, really good. So it's a really enjoyable game to just kind of even like look around. It feels a little bit like you're a kid in Disneyland and you're just like, oh my god, like everything is really cool here. That's what it feels like because it's set in a metaverse, especially for the first kind of half of the game. It's not meant to feel realistic, so everything about it feels quite fantastical and quite out of left field, really. It's not what I expected at all, because obviously I grew up with the Digimon series. It wasn't even the Japanese, it was an English dub series that you saw on like Fox Kids, right? So I really didn't expect it to look the way it does. It's all very like modern and edgy because they are like avatars of themselves. So like the costume design is really cool, the character design is really cool, but the Digimon itself stay really, really faithful to things like the anime, and they haven't messed with the character design of that at all. So it feels
that's what people are here for.
Yeah, it feels really, really new and fresh, and it feels really nostalgic at the same time. And I think they've managed to blend those two things together really, really well. And it makes for a really enjoyable experience when you play it. The things that I think kind of take away from it is the combat style takes a little bit of time to get used to. It feels a little bit like when you're playing, for example, Scarlet and Violet with Pokemon. It's a bit like where you go into the raids. So it's always 3v3, it's turn-based, and essentially it sets you up, as you go along, you kind of figure this out, so that you have like an attack and 2 defense, for example, or a defense and 2 attack, and you go through it that way. So it's a lot more strategic, I would say, than a Pokemon battle, for example, unless you play like a strategic person, which I don't. I play, I'm going to attack you. And
check out the Twitch stream for more information on that.
So it makes for a really enjoyable experience, but the combat takes a little bit of time to get used to. I think one of the things that I really struggled with this, and I say struggled with, and it could be better as somebody who is not bilingual, and therefore I feel like I shouldn't make a comment on it. However, I Googled this afterwards as well to see if I was right or whether I was just, reading things wrong. But this suffers from a bit of a translation issue. Right. So the English translation is not always accurate. And that can make it a really confusing game to play and a really confusing story to go along with, because the story is so complex. And then you've got somebody who is obviously translating this from Japanese to English. It's not always accurate. It doesn't always make sense. And it gets to a point where the inaccuracies are so frequent that it becomes a little bit like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing now? Yeah. So it's a really enjoyable experience, and you can, for the most part, put that to the side and carry on anyway. But there are points of the story I can say that part of the reason why I needed help explaining the plot on Wikipedia is because the translation issues are so frequent that it is difficult to put into your own words.
So what you're saying is this game even has more content because it makes you learn Japanese.
I wouldn't say that much. I haven't picked up any Japanese.
Go away.
There's just, and I don't even know how to say how I picked up on it, but it was just little things where I was like, I think I don't know whether they've used the wrong word here. And then I googled it afterwards, and there were a lot of people as well saying like, yeah, it's a great game, but it doesn't always.
It's one of the Digimon you can get, like the Duolingo owl.
It's weird. It's almost like what you're saying with Digimon. What makes it good is that they've just sort of gone with it and been bombastic with what they already has of content, but don't hold reverence towards it. Whilst Darren is limited because of the reverence, and mine has nothing to run off because it's his own entity, which is very fortunate. Personally, I think I'd vote for Ni no Kuni. I think Ni no Kuni is...
I was going to say, I loved Digimon. As I said, I had a great time with it, but I don't think that I can pass up the fact that every time I watch this, and maybe it's because of the Welsh thing, I was like, oh, this is lush. This is really nice. Whereas I think if you came in and watched me play this, you'd be like...
I think they're three very different games. They're all very obviously good at what they do. But the one that's probably going to be more universally, which is what Ghibli does to make it universally liked, is Ni no Kuni.
I agree.
Ni no Kuni is most entertaining. So a point for Darren. Which means Darren needs to win the next one to try and
this away.
tie the episode.
It won't be the worst time I've pissed away a point. I can tell you for certain what that is. And it was one of our episodes where I won most accurate and then shit away the rest of the episode.
It was nothing to do with me, though, I imagine. Being...
Oh,
no.
Don't worry.
Oh, man.
I won. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. It's all right. So who wants to go first to play the game? Who's got a play of the game locked and loaded?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So, a point I made about this is that it's missing a lot of sort of the silly fun.
Yeah.
And I sort of looked up what some of the little mini games I missed were, and it feels more like in Yakuza you have like the cabaret club or the real estate. If it was more things like that, there's like a mini game where you are a doctor. There's a mini game where you are a bartender.
Yeah.
It's very sort of situated. You are in the city. You're doing various jobs. What I'm about to talk about is not that. So there's a mission where you go out into the wasteland to free someone from a prison, which is bullshit because you free him and then he goes, no, I'm good, and then you leave.
Right.
To be fair, it's with good reason, but I found that really funny. On the way back, you're with Jagray, and he says, can we stop off at this old baseball diamond from before the war?
Oh, a baseball diamond for Yakuza game?
A baseball diamond. Can we stop off? I've left one guy there alone. It's like a lookout, and I want to see if he's okay on his own.
Right.
And so you go to the baseball diamond, and up to this point, the general structure of this game is you go somewhere, a bunch of bandits are there, and you fight them. And typically, you fight a small number of bandits, then a big number of bandits, then a bandit boss. Up to this point, that's happened 5 times.
Okay.
That little pattern of
Yep.
shit. So you get to the baseball diamond, and it's the one guy who's alone there, and he's like, Drago said, I don't think he's going to be able to hold this on his own. And then a bunch of bandits come, like, crest over a hill, and I'm like, well, okay, that's what this is again.
Yeah.
I've arrived. I'm going to fight a small number of bandits, then a large number of bandits, then a boss.
Yep.
That is not what this is. This is a baseball minigame. Where, and I tell no word of a lie, because it's my favourite part of the game so far, you, as Kenshiro, are holding a massive fucking metal girder, and you baseball motorcycle bandits into the sky.
That's
Obviously.
class.
And as soon as it went, like, he did this thing where he went up and he's like, going to swing some grand slams. I'm like, fun, baseball terminology before the fight. And then it comes up like, so you hold X to ready your swing. I'm like, you fucking what? Are you fucking kid? And then, like, they come at it, the circle changes. The best bit is, if you hit them just right, you get a beautiful animation of this fucking girder slams into the front of the bike. It, like, bends. And then this bandit goes fucking rocketing off Team Rocket style.
Nice.
Makes a star in the sky. And that star is then persistent through the rest of the minigame.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
every time you hit another one, like, into the sky,
Yeah,
it's a little star.
That's fun.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was just, I was so ready, as I said, to write this game off as, like, it's a bit dull, it's missing a lot of, like, the fun and the silliness. And the game went, oh, you want silliness? Baseball.
And that's the last thing you've done, isn't it?
I did a little bit past that, but basically I got there and it went baseball, and I went, cool.
I was wondering if they're going to start doing more silly stuff as it goes on. It might do. Hopefully it does. We'll see.
Yeah, a lot of it sounds very sort of rooted. It's the same thing. It has a lot of reverence for the series. But this was a lot of like, yeah, you want to fucking
That's really
use
cool.
a girl to baseball bandits into the sky? I'm like, of course I do.
Is it the same makeup as like Yakuza Zero's baseball game then?
Similar. There's no like curveballs, but actually no, there is. Bandits jump. Basically, it's like you ready to swing. There's a circle, and when it changes color, it's the best time to hit.
Right.
You can like too early or too late, and then you hit it, and you're just trying to reach a certain score on different difficulties.
Sounds good.
But it was just in the middle of all this serious stuff, and before that, you just have a massive serious plot dump about like your past and your enemies. And the game's like, look, we know you've been hard on me. We've been setting up a lot of tutorial. Let me play some baseball. Thanks, game. Appreciate that.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I don't mind going next. Mine is not going to win because mine's pretty boring, if I'm honest. This is because this kind of works like an episode or a comic, like I said earlier on. It doesn't leave you a lot of opportunity to do stupid things, if I'm honest. So I'm going to talk about. It's very Pokemon-esque. This bit. You go in and the hacker gives you a choice of 3 different Digimon, and I picked the one with a little plant on his head. It's very cute. And then you go on to kind of meet and capture your first Digimon. I didn't know that the first one is a bit of a test. You don't get to keep it, okay?
Oh, no.
So I shit my pants, right? Because this guy takes me around the corner and this Digimon that you encounter is huge. It's huge. And I was like, I'm gonna die. So I really pumped myself up, right? I'm doing the combat, and then finally I catch it and I'm thinking, fuck yeah, I got this big Pokemon, big Digimon, great, awesome. He immediately basically says, yeah, that one's mine. And I was like, what? I just did all the work, and he was like, yeah, I've got to teach you how to do it. So this one's mine. And the character in the game is like, oh, okay, makes sense, thanks so much. And behind the scenes I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
It's like the meme of like the little kid on the chessboard and the big guy patting his head. You're like, I caught the big Digimon. Yeah. It's like, well done. That wasn't real, but well done.
I was like,
Proud of you.
fuck's sake, okay.
Cool. No Kuni, struggling to pick up one play of the game. I thought about your first interaction as seeing that because you gave such a great moment when you saw Drippy for the first time. I was so excited for him. I thought it was just a brilliant time to have like in the house. So just really enjoyed that. I wanted to talk about the Wizard Tome, which is amazing. The Wizard Companion is what it is, which is beautiful. The open world is beautiful. I was thinking about the Welsh Village, which is amazing in his own little town. Meeting his mum for the first time is amazing. You think you're going up this hill to see just another fairy, which is Drippy's mum. You're like, oh, it's tiny, up I go, up the hill. And you turn around and she's the size of a fucking hill. You're like, oh, and she's enormous. Oh, Drippy! Absolutely huge. And then shortly after that, you have to try to help her, so you have to get fired into her mouth. And you think, because there's like fairies in their traps, you're like, oh god, it's going to be disgusting. In there's like a kindergarten. Yeah. You have to leave. It's weird, it's brilliant. But where I want to talk about, I would like to talk about a place about the monarch of Al Mamoon. Who is known as Cowlifa or Her Majesty, which is like large cow woman, whose favourite dish is cheese. So you have to go off and you have to go and make some cheese from the fountain because it's got a magical bull fountain that can make cheese there. You then come back and then it switches to a cutscene. You then have to take this massive, massive slice of cheese, which is as big as Oliver is, and you have to climb this giant woman who is 30, 40 times bigger than him, and she's like, you have to put it in her mouth, and the whole time she's like, yes, it's really uncomfortable. It's like, in my mouth, you're like, all right, this massive fucking animated cow woman having a slice of cheese put in there, and Oliver's like, just trying to get away from her, just so you can use her boat to get around the map, and it is an amazingly funny, awkward, only Ghibli moment.
I don't want to say this game's fucking weird. This game's fucking weird.
But really, any of those moments could be my moments because there are so many great characters and interactions. And I feel like that's the bit that
I forgot about the inside of fucking the fairy's mum being a kindergarten.
Which is like
so
one of the little
funny.
ones. It's so...
Like,
and then you have to escape through this like this this tunnel that goes
Slide.
down, and it's essentially you come out of her ass.
Right, slide out of her ass.
Like I said, I couldn't pick one. I had to mention one because there are so many good moments in this game. Whenever there's a cutscene, I know I'm going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Whenever Drippy's mainly involved, I'm going to have a good time.
Drippy opens his mouth, you go,
Yeah.
let's do it. Go on, boy. Say something.
So that's it. But yeah, I'm going to fight hard for this having the best moment of the game. I know bending girders and playing baseball was great. But this Ni no Kuni, it's got so much character in it. It's just everything. Where are you going, Karis?
I'm going to have to vote for Ni no Kuni, I think. Yeah.
Were you thinking of Ni no Kuni or were you going to
No, I'm going to stick with mine just because it was, as we talked about
a
in
moment of
entertainment.
brevity?
Yeah, as we talk about entertainment, the problem with it is it feels like it's trying too hard to be serious and cool and pay respect to it. That when I came along to this baseball diamond and it was like... I
just showed her a picture of Cowley.
When you get to like the baseball diamonds, I'm like, oh, okay, am I just gonna fight more fucking bandits now? And it's like, no, plays baseball.
That's cool.
I'm into it.
I like that.
So I'll take the third point then.
Yeah,
I'll win the episode.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's anime done.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think they're all really good
They're
games
all
for
good.
anything. It'll be interesting to see which gets put in the vault because I think there's going to be a lot of love and support for certain games that go in there. I think if you look at a lot of lists, surprisingly, not surprisingly, but Fist of the North Star is the highest rank of the three.
Yeah.
I think it goes Fist of the North Star, Digimon Story, and then Ni no Kuni, which is strange because that's probably, I think, reversing how we're looking at it. But yeah, that's the end of that one. But before we leave the episode, we need to work out what we're going to be fighting about next time. Really? So,
This is my favourite part.
Darren, would you like to fire up the random genre generator?
Genre generator.
Yep. And what are we going to be using going forward next time? What's our battle plan going to be?
So our next one,
Yep.
I think it'll be our longest title.
Oh, shit.
Oh, good.
Our topic for the next episode is first person, but not a shooter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking for first-person games. It's going to be very hard to work out who's going to be most accurate on that one.
It's going to be a weird one because there are games that have first-person shooting, but might not be classified as a first-person shooter.
And that might be the way you decide which is the
Maybe.
most... Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So first-person perspective games that aren't a shooter that you'll like. There's a lot of walking sims out there.
A lot of walking sims.
A lot of walking sims.
A lot of weird old games.
A lot of survival horror.
Yeah.
There's a lot of first person.
There's even some games that fall into that like more action-y spectrum that I also wouldn't say is
shooter.
properly into shooter.
Nice Portal game.
Portal would be good.
Yeah,
But
there's
you
lots.
shoot portals.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that the question?
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of questions. That's going to be interesting. We're going to have to do some thinking to work out who's going to buy first on that one.
Yeah.
But yes, that brings us to the end of yet another episode. So thank you all for coming along and being our player force. We very much appreciate everything you do. Do make sure you check us out on our socials where we do try and get interactions from you about what should go in the vault, what other topics should be, etc., etc. So do check us out on Instagram. That's at DiscountPod. And then we've got our own individual ones, which is at Discount Darren, Discount Josh, Discount Keris, and we're all pretty active on there as well. So if you message us or do follow us, we'll follow you back. We're pretty good for that sort of thing. All of them have 2 C's, as the title is. We are on all streaming platforms for podcasts. You can check out our link tree, which is actually on our socials, which has all of our streaming platforms, which is about 20 or 25.
We're everywhere.
If you're getting a podcast on a platform, we're probably on there. You just have to have a little search. We are on YouTube. If you want to see the longer uncut version of this, check that out. It should be up there at some point. Maybe not immediately after the episode is released.
We'll see.
But we'll see where we are.
In good time.
We're hoping by April we're sort of on top of things.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Just takes a long time.
It does.
It really
You
does.
two, sort it out.
And lastly, do check us out on Twitch. We do stream every week. We stream on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Monday and Fridays we're doing legacy games where Keris is streaming Pokemon Violet. At this point, Darren is probably doing Kingdom Hearts. Which one?
It'd be Chain of Memories. I think,
Reckon
at this point.
Chain of Memories.
I'd say.
Yeah, and I think I'm next going to be starting on Dark Souls at this point.
Probably.
It's trying to guess where this is. We're recording this in advance, so we don't know where it's going to land. But that's where I reckon I'll be. So yeah, on Twitch at Discount Pod. And that's it. That's the end of another episode.
Yeah.
Hooray! Did I miss anything?
In the spirit of Ni no Kuni, shout out to white women.
Yeah.
White women? Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks,
Because you
guys.
can't say What can't you say?
Wrath of the White Witch.
You sure you can say that a little bit faster?
Wrath of the White Witch.
A little bit faster again.
Wrath of the White Witch.
Also, I said, yeah, not for white women, just because I enjoyed that Josh can't say it.
Yeah. Okay.
I say yeah for white women.
I don't want people to think that I'm like racist or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Just white women doesn't
You
make
know,
you a
I felt
racist.
like-
No, you're not. We heard the nationalist chants. You're just nationalist.
We're not saying anything about the quality of white women. We're just saying shout out.
We are very off topic here. We're trying to end the episode. So thank you all for being here. Very much appreciate it. Thank you for being a player 4, and we'll check you all next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bye.